Yo! Oh, wait. Force a habit. I drink some coffee. There you go.
Indeed. Hello and welcome everybody to this Azure Synapse Espresso. I'm joined here today by Patrick, which means we're going to not talk about Power BI. We're going to talk about Azure Synapse Spark. Patrick, can you please introduce yourself?
Hey, first, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me here at the Espresso, where I get to drink a little coffee. Patrick Leblanc. I am a program manager on the Power BI customer advisory team, and also have a little bit of YouTube channel called Guy in the Cube. Thanks. Yeah, that's me.
Awesome. So what we'll be talking about today is basically partitioning inside Synapse Spark and how you actually partition your data lake. So I had a conversation with Patrick and he said, like, you've got these videos, you show how to use partitioning, but you don't show us how to create it. And I said, Patrick, do you have a script for it? And he said, yes.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
So,
yes, I do. So enough of all this talking. You know how I like to do? Let's head over to my laptop. When I first started doing this, I had all my data in these huge Parquet files. It wasn't partitioned up. And then I went and watched your videos with Philip, and I was like, oh, I need to really do some partitioning. And so you can see what I did here is I imported these SQL functions. And then what I did, I read the data into a data frame, and then I added a column because I needed this trip date column because I just needed the date formatted a specific way. And so you can see I formatted it month, day, year, some US stuff, right? And then I displayed. I'm going to go ahead and run this so you can see what I did. I'm going to run this. And what you're going to see is when the result comes. So what you see is that I brought the data into this data frame, but more importantly, what I did was I added this column because I needed to format the column up a specific way so that I can do my PartitionBy. And so you can see here that I have my dates kind of cleaned up in a generic format. So then the next thing, and this was the fun part. This was the fun part, honestly. And so I had to do some searching on the interwebs to figure this out. But you can see, again, I imported the SQL function. And so I'm using that exact same data frame that I loaded up. And I'm saying, hey, I have some headers. I'm going to overwrite my file. But also I want to partition by this trip date, and then I'm going to drop it to this location on my storage container. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run this. So I'm going to run this, and so we'll let this run. So now after completed, I'm going to head over to my storage container. So I'm going to go over here to that storage container, and in my daily partition folder, what you're going to see is that I have each folder is the name of that column equals to that specific date. And now each one of these folders only contain data for those dates. So the Parquet files only contain data for those specific dates.
Okay, great. So that's basically how you create those partition data sets. Now, if I want to query this with serverless, is there anything specific I still need to do?
It's a piece of cake. It's a piece of cake. I got to show you this. Back to my laptop. Okay, so now I have these folders, and let me show you how to query it. So I'm going to just go into one of the folders, and then I'm going to right-click on one of these Parquet files and just choose New SQL Script and do select top 100 rows. So I'm going to do that. And then you'll see it writes the SQL script for me. I didn't have to do anything. And then I run this. When I run it, what you're going to see is there's all my data, but I have to point something out. And to be honest with you, I learned this recently because I thought that that column that I added, the one that I used to partition by, this particular column was part of the result set. But if you scroll over and look through it, that column is not there. It's not there at all. Okay, so let's say you want to include the column in this query. Let me show you how we constructed this query. The first thing I did, I removed the file name because in a lake, we work with folders, not files. Folders, not files. And then I replaced the date itself with an asterisk. And then finally, what I did was I added the file path function, and I specified 1 because that's the first item in that path. And then I aliased it as trip date. I renamed that column as trip date. And so now if I run this query, watch this. I'm going to run this query. I was so excited when I found out about this. So when I run this query, if we scroll out to the right, you can actually see the trip date. And if I want to filter on this, a query on this, it will work just using that particular function.
Awesome. That basically shows us how to create those partition columns. And also do note that that column, if you create that folder, it will not be in your Parquet file. So you need to specify that with r.filepath. And also the r.filepath allows you to greatly decrease the amount of data that you're reading, as we've shown you in the video on partitioning. Now, if this is the first time you're visiting our channel, you like the video, just give us a thumbs up. If you have any further questions, just write them in the comments. We'll definitely get back to you. If you like to see more of this type of content from Azure Synapse, just subscribe to the channel. And that's about it. Now, as always, from the Azure Synapse Espresso team, this is Stijn.
And Patrick.
Thanks very much for watching. See you next time. Bye.